All right, you guys, let's come up here.
The one with the...
Okay, so we're talking about this one. Okay, so Cammie was, struggling and getting out of this sort of more realistic mode. Does that make sense? So we started kind of going here, doing an overlay over, playing around with it. Then we went to something, he turned into a, what's that called? A constable, right? So actually I started off, what did we start off with? A bowler hat. No, we started off with a baseball hat, I think.
A baseball hat.
Then a bowler hat, and then this constable hat, which is just a little taller, and you'd put the thing on it.
The British police hat?
Mm-hmm. So it's just, a way of breaking down this sort of anatomical idea into a more design idea. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So that's basically what we're doing, right? This one is from the fish market, I think, or somewhere. I can't remember where this was. It might have been the farmer's market. It was an overlay on somebody's drawing also.
Oh, that was mine.
Oh, was it yours? Okay. And we added the dog and blah, blah, blah. Okay, who's got problems?
I have so many.
Not emotional issues. I don't solve those.
Oh, that's right. That's what the therapist is for.
That's right.
I got things backwards.
But you'll find this will become your therapy.
Oh, great. I don't think my therapist
That's
would
why I'm
approve
so
of
well
that,
adjusted.
but Yeah.
There's such thing as art therapy.
There is, actually. Which I think is probably a good idea. Cammie could probably use a little bit. Just saying. Where are you at? Okay, see how we're still staying sort of geometric-y, schematic-y?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So and you're getting better, but it's like
Still in there.
still in that sort of mechanical. This feels almost like a design for like a puppet.
Yeah.
Where like I'm going, this is gonna move, that kind of
Right.
thing.
That makes sense.
All right, so I kind of like this one. What do you guys think?
I like that one too. I like
Yeah.
that one.
Huh?
Looks like a little like
But I'm gonna add I'm just gonna try and add some things into here. Kind of like that little bump right there. And like here. Like here, it's fine to do like a graphic idea there for that, but I might break it up a little bit, just to give it a little more of a furry kind of thing. And no, not a furry. I know that's what you're thinking.
That's absolutely what I was thinking.
And then this, I'd probably give it a little more organic kind of thing, that mustache, right? Then I always think about, okay, now I have this, how do I handle the bottom? Can I, do I do that? Do I do that kind of thing? Graphically, how do I handle it, right? And then I like this chin pulled way back. That I'm gonna
So when
play
I
on.
fix this drawing,
You're
I'm
not fixing.
thinking-
It's
Oh.
not really fixing.
Yeah. But
We're playing and pushing.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's not that they're wrong.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's just,
Not
I'd
big.
come up with a graphic solution for that ear. And then, he looks older, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a waddle. And then and he sort of did this already, I'm going to pinch this idea. And I like that you did a southern string tie kind of idea.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not really a bowler tie. These are like string ties. And they're usually, they're not like a bow tie like that.
Isn't that what a bolo tie is? Is that a string tie?
No, bowler ties. That. And this is, a lot of times, it's a silver thing or something.
What's a string tie?
That's a different thing.
It's a bow with a string. With a string.
So this is more like that southern sort of, what was his name?
Like the Colonel.
Colonel
KFC,
Sanders.
KFC, yeah.
The KFC.
Those guys that, for some reason, there's some tradition of
Sander or something.
guys wearing white suits with string tie. Colonel Parker did that too?
Yeah.
Didn't he do that?
Maybe it's a colonel thing.
I know, but why do they always call themselves a colonel? I don't understand that. By the way, you ever read his history, Colonel Sanders?
No.
You should read his history. He's got a crazy history. Well, it's like Jim Nichols here, the guy just retired or is retiring. He's had a really interesting life.
So do I use tracing paper when I push it more?
I usually do.
Okay. I think
I mean, I do two things. Sometimes I'm just going in and I'm just redrawing it and just freehanding.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes I go in and I if I really started to like something, like I like some of the shapes here, then I'll start to play around with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do an overlay if I
Okay.
think there's something for me to grab onto.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? No. Give him a little more business around his eyes.
I did not add the mustache because the guy I was observing did not have the mustache.
So what?
Yeah.
That's up to you. Now these kind of things here, I want to make sure that these kind of things connect. I don't want it to go like I have an ear and then it goes here and it sort of disconnects, you know? That's
Okay.
why most of the time I just sort of draw through that form and it'll disappear.
Oh, okay.
You know, and then I come up with some sort of graphic solution for the ear, right? And then it's, you know, kind of hair does he have? You know, and how am I going to handle that? Now, another thing I was just thinking is he might have like those lamb chop things. That might be kind of fun. Mutton chops. And I'd have to make it work a little better here. It's a little confusing right there. You know, but I might do something like that. And then again, how do I handle the bottom? I don't like that. I design it more.
Do we need to add value into our final product?
No, not if you don't want to.
Okay.
So if you get a good drawing on tracing paper, you could also
Scan it.
that
You're
one.
done. Yeah. That's the beauty of that, is that you can just go for it.
Okay.
You're not sitting around trying to make a perfect page. You're just going for it. Then you just scan the good ones. You know, I'll talk about cleaning them up here in a minute.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds very liberating.
Okay, so we're understanding what we just did with this one, right?
Like we add more to it.
I'm just refining, trying. Like I'd probably come in here now and maybe go. Because to me, I don't know if I have a good design until I try a bunch of different designs.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'll simplify that. And then maybe give them more of that. Which actually makes more sense with the lamb chops. And then I'm gonna give them more of a cookie duster. Cookie duster mustache. Which is gonna put him into a whole different area to me.
What's a cookie duster mustache?
Hmm?
What's a cookie duster mustache?
It's a big cowboy mustache. You know, the guys that have the big mustache that
Oh,
covers
yeah.
their whole.
Like
Like
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
He's awesome, by the way.
His voice.
I thought that I was done until you add more to it, and then I see that I still have a long.
Okay, one of the things, that's a good point. One of the things that I think is important about what you just said is you got to really explore.
Yeah.
Like you can't go, that's it, I'm done. I got to go, okay, I'm starting to like this, but this nose, I know this might sound weird, makes way more sense with this design element,
Okay.
in my opinion, right? So now he's completely different. So now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give this a little more verticality. Okay, so now I think what's driving this, and I just realized subconsciously, is that you put this southern kind of string tie on here.
So if I redraw it and then make it a different character, I I will have to redo all the poses.
Mm-hmm. What's wrong
Okay.
with that? That's good.
Yeah, I guess.
Basically, just start over.
I just
The
felt-
reason that's good is that you guys got to learn not to be precious with this stuff. And you got to learn that you've got to explore like crazy. Like if you go to an art director, hey, give me some passes, and you come in and you go, hey, here's my thing. They're like, that's one idea. They're going to go, each one of these should be a different idea. Each one of these should be a different idea. I should have 25 ideas. Because out of 25, I might get one good one, or I might get two, or they might go, I kind of like what's going on here, but I like a little bit of the squareness. They just might do that, right? And like my boss used to come over and I'd go, this looks pretty good, right? And then he'd come over and he'd go, wow, that's, you know, and I'd have a couple that I thought were really good. And he'd go, wow, that one's like super square. And I'd be like, no, it isn't. And I go look at it in the mirror and I go, it's totally square, right? But it's because my eyes were on it too much. Okay, so this guy I think can be a little rougher. Change his ear a little. Now we're starting to get into a little more of a... Now this hat should actually be going this way more. I kind of turned it this way, so I'm cheating the perspective a little bit, so just be aware of that. It should actually come this way a little more and sort of swoop over that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm sort of cheating a little bit because I don't feel like messing with it right now. And I just want to kind of burn through my ideas before I lose my ideas. So this will come out here, go up into there. So let's give this some value because I think it'll help it. It's Sam Elliott's dad. You know he was raised in Sacramento? Isn't that weird?
Not a cowboy then.
No, I would have thought like Wyoming.
No, I think his parents were from like Kentucky or someplace.
Is Sacramento not a cowboy place?
Well,
I
it's
never been.
ag country, so back in his day, it probably was pretty. You got to remember, most of the Dust Bowl people, a lot of them ended up in Bakersfield.
That's a good point. Yeah. He is old daddy.
This is too much here. I'm gonna soften that up. He drinks a lot, so I'm gonna give him a really.
Oh, that's a good idea. To shade the nose.
Are his eyes open? I can't tell.
His eyes are drooping.
Oh, I see.
I like this little shape you came up with for the eye, or for the eyebrows. It's kind of an interesting shape. Now here too, he'd probably have a 3-day beard. So I want a little of that. Give him a little bit of,
Stubble.
and then maybe a couple here. And then I still haven't figured out this, and now I'm going to start to connect that a little bit. I still don't like that. Oh well, that would be my next pass. And then,
But we,
go ahead.
but if we are designing in your way, I feel like there is no constraint when it
There
comes to
isn't.
what occupation the character.
There is no constraint period on anything.
And then we will struggle with like
Having an
having no
imagination.
limit. Yeah.
Good. Because that's, okay, that's a good point. That's what
Yeah.
I want.
Oh, okay.
I want you to, and this I'm doing across every class I do.
Yeah.
Start tapping into your imagination.
Okay.
Okay? You can't just like rely on, this is why, and I know I'm always on this tear, I get it. This is why I don't like fan art,
Yeah.
because you guys don't, it stunts your creative growth. So I'm learning, because I've really put an emphasis on this, like, especially this term, and a little bit last term, but this term especially. I mean, I have kids coming up to me all the time and going, what is stylization? And I'm like, everything that you say you want to do in your career requires stylization, and you don't even know what the definition of it is. Do you know what I mean? That's a problem. That's a big problem, okay? So the point of this is, exactly to your point, is to like not have any limits and to go, look at somebody and just kind of extrapolate something out of it.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just the way I look at it. My brain fills in the narrative.
Yeah.
We boring you again, Emily? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what if having too much will like cause the pressure of like overcomplicating our thinking and then not even start?
Literally, this is what I think. If that's the way you think, do not go into this as a career.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because you need to like, this is what I'm not understanding about this generation. Everything is some sort of anxiety-inducing thing.
Yeah.
This isn't anxiety-inducing, it's fun. You know what I mean? At least to me. I don't know, I think it's fun.
And I always think that having constraint makes things simpler. So
Sure,
that I
if
can
you,
just
sure.
start it.
Now, okay, so here's another way of looking at that. So I'm gonna get rid of this pocket. And I'm also gonna give him a vest. So I'm sort of going to standard cowboy stuff. I'm gonna put his pants kind of cinched up pretty high. And then I'm gonna put, or maybe I won't give him a vest. Maybe I'll give him one of these shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cowboy.
And he may have the strings like on the.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the fringe,
The tassels, yeah.
Is that what they call it? Tassel?
fringes.
Oh.
So we can do a little of that, and then they'll have this little stitching and stuff in it. And then I want to make him a sheriff.
And he can have a piece of like straw.
Sure.
Or like
And a little beer belly.
Why don't you do that? Like put strong them up.
they're just bored with the job of raising the cows.
Flossing?
So they-
I don't know.
Before toothpaste.
Something to chew on?
Like
Oral fixation?
I actually heard that the root of the wheat plant tastes very sweet. Maybe that's why they,
Maybe, yeah.
yeah, they are sucking the sugar or the glucose.
Is he holding his holster?
Yeah, I haven't done anything with that hand yet. And then I might kind of go, if I start to like it, I might tape another piece on here.
Now I realize that my character looks just like any generic character.
Uh-huh, that's my point.
Like the crowd people.
Okay, so now I could start continuing on if I want to. I could just put 2 little sticks of tape right here, and I can start playing around with it. Now, sometimes I'll scan this whole thing and I'll shrink it back down again, and I'll start working over that, right? Unless I want to work big, and that's fine too. Now, if I work big and I shrink it down eventually, and then I can start thinking about what his hands are doing. I always use this as an opportunity to lock the whole head together, right? And then, how much of this? Then I might go, okay, well, I can put some really big, bushy eyebrows on him. I like to put like one hair sticking out like that off the eyelashes or eyebrows. Blah, blah, blah. And that's one idea. So we went from here, here, to here, to here. And that all got generated partly, I think, because you put a string tie on them, and partly I think that was in the back of my mind. But when I changed the nose, all of a sudden this whole thing just changed. And all of a sudden this, whatever you call it, lamb chop idea or mutton chop idea made more sense. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we want to get less geometric. Okay? Like, see how these are feeling very much like
Yeah.
geometric forms locked together?
Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't think that's a bad way to think,
Yeah.
by the way. I don't think it's a bad way to think at all, because you're thinking very structured.
Yeah.
But now we need to take it and go, okay, how do I make it feel more organic?
Right.
Okay?
It's good starting.
No, it's absolutely, it's some really good stuff.
All for nothing.
No, there's some really good starting points.
It's a starting place and then.
To me, to be honest with you, if you give me almost anything, I can, you know, I can come up with something probably. And it's sort of, to be honest with you, it's sort of a jam kind of thing where it's like it's easier because you guys have already started something. So I'm not sitting here starting from scratch. You know, I got something to start with, and that's a big, you know, it's easy.
So
It's
if I
a lot
change
easier.
from my waiter into like a cowboy, I would need different poses and then different facial expression again.
Yeah, because it's a
Okay.
different guy.
Alright.
And I'm not saying do this, I'm just saying that's one way to go.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I might do that, you know, there's a lot of these typical things, you know, I might have his hands in his, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I might give him chaps, then I can extend the idea of the fringe.
Oh, so just the character designs.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with that right now.
Okay.
Well, this is heavy paper. Is that from Michaels?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know they had a heavier version. That's a little bit heavier than mine.
Oh, it is?
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because this will take, the other stuff takes paint pretty good, but this will really take paint pretty good.
I'm never going back to textured paper ever again.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I mean, yeah, I don't like it either.
I like it sometimes, but picky about it though.
It might, what's texture paper used for? Like watercolor?
Well, it's just what you like. Some people like textured paper. For me personally, I don't really like it. Okay, so the one that has the most potential for me is here.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go. Okay, so the first thing I'm usually starting to do here is just break down, you know, if I can break this down into really simple shapes and sort of go with the shape that I'm seeing. I want to put this whole unit together.
Okay.
Now, could also maybe have a little bit of a belt showing there so I can sort of flare this a little bit. What was she wearing?
I can't remember. She was wearing like a big puffy jacket and then like jeans.
Oh, jeans? Okay. All right, so and I'm basically just going. I'm going to give her the, you know, that little unit when they get a little heavier, that little ball right there. There's an unpleasant name for it, but I won't say that. Then a little fold that's dragging across that form, right? Then I'm going to go, what did she have here?
She was holding like a purse, like a prayer.
I'm just going to put, so I'm starting to make a few decisions as to her arm shape, which I think is going to be, for me, it's something like that. Okay, like a little, and I'm getting that from like somebody that's older. You start to get this little drag here.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of what do you call it? Exaggerating that idea, just as a design idea, and then maybe this could even get a little straighter. And then I'm going to give her. So here's my ground plane, right?
Also here, like the anatomy of the arm doesn't matter as much. Like we are thinking.
It matters, but I'm stylizing.
Okay.
I'm not. Look, here's the thing we don't want to do.
Yeah.
We don't want to. I want to make these wider, and everything I'm doing, I might. That's another thing I like about this paper, because you know I tell you guys, hey, don't when you're drawing, don't erase. This is designing, so I don't care. I might erase things out and go, that's not working, and I'll erase them out. And what I like about this paper is things will erase pretty much completely off of them. Does that make sense? I'd have to figure out the tires. I don't like those yet. Now, what I like here is, and I've just noticed, is this feels like an arrow. Does that make sense? And then all of this stuff is sort of,
Pushing.
yeah, there's a feel of it all sort of doing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even this lean here is sort of a forward motion here. Does that make sense? So everything is sort of forward motion, right?
It looks very aerodynamic.
Mhm. And when I always put their eye looking, I always give them side eye just for the fun of it, right? Now,
Side eye.
yeah,
What is
you know,
that?
where people are looking sideways at you.
Oh,
The character could just start walking in any minute.
Hmm? Give her small ears. And then I'm gonna have all her hair. How is her hair done here?
She had like a little. I made it into like a bang here.
I'm gonna pull it all back and make it all very severe.
Okay.
Again, because
Jeez.
all this is pulling backwards. So now I've got so now I've got sort of a design idea going,
Yeah, I see it.
which is very forward motion, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
She's on a mission.
make it spiky. You know,
She wants
but-
to do this.
She's like, it's coupon day, double coupon day.
That's serious business. Coupon day is not a joke.
I used to go to month-end sales downtown in LA in the early 70s with my mom. That was pretty serious. I mean, that literally is like women. Literally, it was that scene where they're pulling. Hey, that's mine, you know.
It's a battlefield.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting to see it because I don't know if that goes. I don't think it goes on anymore. That's when they had buffums and all that stuff downtown. Now the hair's an opportunity for me to do something interesting, and I don't know if that's it yet, but then I want to give her a big earring. And then I'm sort of kind of going, I want that. Maybe she has an underbite.
What is an underbite? What's the
Ugh.
word? Oh, okay. I keep hearing strange words from this class.
That's funny. I'm not sure where her nose fits in there yet. Because I don't think it should be super prominent.
Like button nose or something.
Hmm?
You know those like button noses are like round. I like
You know, and if I don't like it, I just keep playing with it. That's too much. I don't want that much.
I feel like there's something lacking in me that makes me not able to design fluently like you do.
No, no, no.
Like just
That's-
coming out,
that's-
just coming-
That's experience.
yeah.
It's okay. So what you're here to do is, and this is what I want you to remember here, whenever in your education, wherever you go.
Okay.
Make sure that you're getting really strong fundamentals and that your teacher knows what the hell they're doing. Make sure that they have experience.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is repetition and experience.
Right.
Okay? So if you go out, the problem, the thing is that when you go out and you start working, you're going to get a big dose of, so I want this whole line to just be one unit. When you go out and start working, that's your next education.
Okay.
I mean, when I went out and started working, I was terrified. You know what I
Because
mean?
during this project, I feel like every step of the way I am stuck, and then I
Uh-huh.
overcome that, and then I'm stuck again. Like I cannot.
That's okay. That's
go
the
straight
okay.
From
That's the rest of your
classroom.
life.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's all I do too.
That means
Okay.
you're learning.
Yeah, it means you're learning, and you're always gonna go, hey, I'm doing. The way I always look at it is I go, hey, top of the world, man, and the next day I'm like, oh, God, I suck.
You're always gonna face that one part where it's like, you know, you feel like you're unstoppable and all of a sudden you get knocked out.
It's just the way it is. If you actually care about your skill set, I have a student. I was just talking about this last night, or he actually wasn't my student, but he was here.
Oh, Dot. I know him.
No, it's a guys
Oh.
don't know him, I don't think.
Oh.
But anyway, he's I saw him do some okay stuff. He was kind of a fanboy, right? And then he went out and got a job with a video game company. Good for him. But now I feel like he's the type of guy who's now gone, I got my job. I don't care about getting good anymore. I don't care about the art part. Like I work for a video game company and I can say that, and that's really all I care about. Because his work isn't getting better.
Stagnant.
He's actually posting stuff where I'm like, I don't get how you got a job.
What Was he the green hair guy that you taught?
Nah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm doing a little bit of cutting that up to say maybe she's got a little bit of overhanging skin there, right? Then what kind of shirt you have?
Well, I went away from that.
Okay, so let's just give her a sleeve. And then you got her with stripes on, which I like.
So everything is a design up.
Everything is. And then,
That makes it feel like you open one door and there are 100 more doors.
oh, there
behind
is.
that
There
door.
always is. Look, there's somebody said, you never finish a design, you just abandon it. And I believe that's kind of true.
Oh, that's what Da Vinci said.
Do you
Did
have-
he? Oh, was it Da
Yeah,
Vinci? Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Do you recommend
You don't finish your work, you abandon it.
Oh, I didn't know that was a Da Vinci quote.
Yeah.
I heard of one saying a long time ago that I really, really liked personally.
On what?
For thinking whenever doing art most of the time, is that art is like water. It bends its shape, and it's never truly one shape.
No, it's not.
That's what
So,
Bruce
like,
Lee
art is, like,
said.
really
I don't like this transition right here, so I'd have to fix that. You guys see that? This transition right here is awkward. I don't like that. So this should probably flow in a nice way. Where did Cammy go?
Do you recommend any books?
Go
on
get her out of there.
graphic design?
I'm dog driver.
Graphic design?
Or just design in general?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd have to think about that. Her arm's too prominent. I don't like that. Like that, maybe. That's a little better, I think. Now, when I look at it through a camera, or if I flip it,
Maybe you can
It's
look
not
at
too
Stephen
bad.
Silver.
I have that book. Actually.
Oh.
Steven
okay.
Silver, that's a really good one.
I
That's
should
a
have
really,
brought it in and showed everyone.
Stephen Silver.
usually I have it here. I don't know
the
what I
guy
do
who
with
makes
it.
Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real. You want to talk about simplicity? There's the guy.
That's a great book.
Didn't he have a show here once?
Yeah.
Or-
Well, he was the artist in residence here, like before.
Yeah, I remember
What's his name? Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, bring it next week. I want to see.
Names are a thing this week.
It
I
is,
bring
it's
the
great.
scanner to class so that I can.
And he sort of has his own like little methodology around all this stuff, the way he likes to do it. Okay, so you see what we're starting to do here?
Yeah.
And then and you see what I'm doing? I'm just going off of what's presented to me, right? Which is the same thing I do when I'm doing this, you know. Now this would be a starting point. Like I do like the leg idea. I like sort of this idea, and I like something going on here, but it's not defined yet to the level I want it to be.
So let's say that our deadline is tight. Then when do we stop? We just.
You stop when you run out of time, basically. You got to man. This is the thing
So
also.
we have to keep going until the.
That's the
very
thing
last day.
also. The yeah.
Okay.
Like I just had a student this term, and we had a project, and probably like a week ahead they go, "I'm done."
Wow.
Oh,
my
that's me
project.
right now.
And I go, "You're done? This is done to you? It's not done." You know what I mean? And plus, you got another week, and you're not going to use it. That's a problem. Okay, so we're here for now, right? Does that make sense? So now I was just saying I'd probably have, you know, now I got to go in and refine. I like this whole body idea. I like some things going on here, but it's not there yet. You know, then I might start putting a dog here and put his little paws hanging, you know, so he's like doing that.
My dog does that too.
And then, you know, maybe he echoes her sort of determination.
Yes.
I always like it when dogs have like those kind of like mustaches and stuff like that, or like those when their fur like kind of does this, giving them like eyebrows.
Is he also gonna side eye?
Huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
They're intense.
We can
They're on a
also
mission,
add
for
the
sure.
baby in there with the bottle.
Yes.
Wait, does the dog have
Oh,
like
that's a good idea.
You know, and just work that out. And then I definitely want these paws hanging over here. And again, so I'm just doing this very roughly because I'm going to refine, right? It's like it's not there yet. I got to refine it. But now I sort of have an idea, right? And then my dog used to have this little swoop right there.
For the muzzle?
Yeah, her nose had a little swoop.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah.
Oh,
Strange.
no.
Just diss
I'm
his
not
dog.
in the bad mood. I'm not body shaming stuff. So.
I think you are actually.
I learned the body shaming word from you. Like, don't body shaming the cow or whatever last time.
You know,
I wanna
it's
give 'em a
funny
little
when
bit of
you
that
shave,
beard
like, a
down
longer
here.
dog, and all of a sudden they have like this very skinny one.
And like, what kind of dog did you have?
I mean,
My dog,
yeah.
she was
My
a
dog is she's a Havanese.
Great Dane Pit Bull mix,
It's like long. It's kind of
and she was the greatest dog who ever lived.
Just like its master.
in my delusional mind. Anyway, I dick around with him. Okay. So then there's kind of an, and then maybe I,
Oh,
and then maybe,
the Flash.
coupon deals, gotta find them.
maybe there's shelves at the store.
Oh.
And then I could also have this arm now up, where she's grabbing something off the thing,
Oh, without even looking.
and then this is full of stuff.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
could put like a toilet plunger in here, broom handle, stuff that where I can get, and then
Build bed space.
and then I could stack all this where her
A lot of toilet
there's a lot of
paper
stuff,
after
and then
COVID.
some of it's flying off and going behind her. So now I got all this sense of motion going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now I got a little story, right?
And the employee on the back of the aisle is going like, what the heck?
And then maybe, in my mind, my mind starts to fill it in, and I go, okay, she goes shopping every Friday. She doesn't like it. So therefore, in her mind, she's very efficient, and it's like, she's obnoxious. She gets in line, doesn't pay attention to other people, and I'm starting to get an idea of who she is, right? And he's in cahoots with her, right? So in him, I'd have a big bag of
Nice.
dog chow or something, right? And a few other nods to him. Maybe a dog toy hanging from something, and like he's kind of throwing his own stuff in here. And that's why he's looking all snarky. And then maybe at the top of
Do that to
here,
my mom. Try to sneak stuff in the cart when she was looking.
maybe up here, I don't know why, but maybe I put a squirrel up here sitting on top of the pile.
Wait, a squirrel?
I don't know. Because I just put stuff in. And then it sparks things. I'm like, okay, I don't need that, but that gives me an idea. Just like putting him here gave me this idea. Just like this idea of an arrow for the face gave me this whole forward thrust idea, which is what made me lean into, I want her leaning on something, which then goes, what can she be leaning on? Okay, a shopping cart. Because at first I was going to go cane, walker, but I go, I don't want her on a walker. I don't want her on a cane. I want her to be in motion,
It looks like she's going super speed.
So after this, you will create.
And now,
different
the other
thing.
thing, by the way, the next one I do, I might put her leg, and then she's slightly off the ground, more in motion.
Oh,
nice. Okay.
She's just barely picking up speed.
And maybe really leaning forward, And then maybe I'd even do this and turn her head like that, because then I can get her that shoulder up and break that line. And then I could go, she's got this shoulder here, and these little hands, and then I can,
She can also make a drift with the card.
I did want to ask about the texture.
hang on a sec.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
And then, but I'm still got her going this way. Then I can get her sort of going like that. Start going like, this kind of thing, right?
Oh, the poster more
Does that make sense?
dynamic, yeah.
Okay, so do you see I'm going here to here to here to here? And I could do this, and then this could be a pose that I do, and maybe this one, like I said, maybe I shorten her legs up a little bit. And maybe I even have this sort of now starting to go askew a little bit. And then, you know, sometimes I'll do a curve thing like that.
So when we do the pose for our
And then maybe
character-
she's got a little smoke kicking up.
Maybe
And
the
some-
dog's just peeking out of the cart. You know, like,
Yeah, the dog could, now I'd probably do a different pose of the dog. I don't know what I would do. Maybe he looks a little distressed because she's going a little too fast now.
Yeah. She's racing so long.
Maybe she's
racing
got.
for the deals.
So when we draw the pose of the character, the pose doesn't have to look exactly the same as the main
I don't want it to
character,
look
right?
exactly the same.
Okay.
Oh, you mean the pose? I want. Wait, what do you mean? Say it again.
So like when we redraw the character into their different poses, those characters in those poses does not have to look exactly the same, like
Did he take it?
the same
That was too-
proportion.
I wanted it too bad.
No, not like.
It's got to be the same character. It's got to be the same character throughout.
Okay.
So I have to know it's the same character.
Yeah.
All right. So he
Okay.
just said something that's interesting. It's like about how.
We can bend and twist a little bit.
Oh no, you can
But it
bend
still
and
has
twist
to
them
be
all
the
you
same.
want, but it's got to be the same character.
Yeah, okay.
So the thing I want to do, if I do something like that, this, what helps probably is to go, okay, if I got a side view, she's sort of this,
Yeah.
and then her upper body is sort of, let's say that. Then this part of her body is sort of another circle. Her legs are sort of these very, you know, and then I want to put a little tiny feet in there. You know, so if I know how this all works, and I would still adjust her head and all that stuff, I'm not there yet. I like that little ear. I like little nods to her, you know. You know, maybe I just push that mouth out that way. You know? If I want to make it a little older, I could put that little jowly thing in there. You know, and then the arm is sort of this kind of a shape, so sort of a straight against a curve. Her hands would be very small. Right? Then I got to go, okay, what does that look like from a front view?
Yeah, they do. We do that a lot with character drawing. So everything lines up.
And then I got to figure out how this works from this view, where it still feels like the same character. She has small ears. I like a big jewelry thing just because it gives me another shape to put in there. Then this is all going to draw up this way. Now I'm going to see part of her hair. You know, and if it's this character, then I got to go, where does this land? I'm not going to have her mouth that wide. That's too wide. You know, and then this little area. And then how do I get those? Probably give her like little, you know, and then I go, okay, is that what she looks like in the front view? I don't think it is yet, so I got to work on that. And then I can just flip this view this way and get that view. And then that's it, right? But if I know the breakdown of my character, and then from the front view, now I could probably break this here from a front view. Does that make sense? Then if she's got a belt on, that would be there. And I like the belt ideas because it potentially can pinch something. Got little feet. You know, and then these are going to come out. And I still could maybe maintain that shape there, maybe. You know? And then I start figuring out how this works. And then it's easier for me to turn it because then I go, okay, I'm going to turn her into a 3/4 view. I've got this idea. Now this arm's going to be over here. You know, and then where does these arms land? Oh, they land right there. So if I swing this arm down, they should land about the same place, you know, consistently. I don't want you to go down this whole thing and do all this, but this is how you
Yeah.
think. So if I break this apart, then I can go, well, I've got this shape, this bullet-shaped head, kind of. And then I've got, she doesn't have a neck. Then I've got this shape if I'm doing it from a front view. And potentially there's a little belt under there. And then this kind of tubular idea.
Maybe this can be helpful for you
For
if you
this.
have trouble drawing from different angles.
Yeah, because you can't have them all of a sudden looking like different characters every time they
You gotta keep
pose
the
differently.
reflections the same across. That's why
You know, I could have her at home with her dog. So, you know, I could have her at home. Always looking a little annoyed. And I can cheat this too. Like this hair would actually go behind the head a little bit, but that's all right.
One question.
Huh?
So if the character's supposed to look the same in a sense throughout, like even though, you know, like off model, like just make sure that it looks the same all around. This character right here, her hair is up. How would you keep her looking the same if her hair was in a sense down?
I just come up with how that hair looks when it's down. I do another pose and go, this is how it looks when it's down. Does that make sense?
Because like sometimes when I've seen some shows here and there, like when they do the characters like with the hair that goes up, or they like a certain style, like you only see them in like their hair like in a ponytail, or even like.
You just have to design it. You just have to do another design that shows how her hair is down. That's all.
I've just seen sometimes where they try to do that, and then it looks completely like a different character entirely.
Well, that's a screw up then.
I was just wondering how you would manage.
Well, I'd design the hair. I'd have to design it. I'd have to go, what does her hair look like when it's down? And do I even want it to be down ever? But, you know, I could start to, and maybe I'd make her legs real short so they're not all the way touching the floor. And if you notice, look how loose I'm working, right? I can always come in and tweak things, right? Could have her, you know, petting her dog at home, and then have this big,
Couch.
you know, plushy chair.
Like
Yeah,
a throne.
For a second, I thought you were gonna draw like the stash that she got from the store.
Have this bending a little bit, real big cushiony thing. Her feet aren't touching the ground.
This looks so cool.
Because I couldn't figure out how I wanted to do that. I was going to have her legs crossed, but I don't want that. But I like them better where they're just sort of hanging like a kid. You know, and then I'd make this, you know, with the big buttons and the big plushy thing, and maybe even a little bit of an ornate kind of take on it.
It does look like she'd have like a throne chair.
Yeah.
You know, and then I could do,
She's living the life.
I could put this here, this chair idea.
Would it be alright if in our character sheets we also drew like, I don't know, some small items that go with the character?
I don't care. Just make sure that you don't spend all your time on that.
Well, no, I mean like just like small little things.
So now I could change this view. Give her an old school TV that they're watching.
Oh, nice.
With like little twisted antenna.
I'd do this kind. Rabbit ears.
I feel more comfortable drawing those boxes than drawing.
And then maybe here, I could put a big bucket of popcorn.
Oh, nice.
Good idea.
Maybe over here, put a lamp with the little chain. And then maybe I've got another little bucket with dog treats or something, or little bones sticking out of it. I like to pile things. I just like that for some reason.
Like, was it like big fluffy slippers?
You know, and then yeah, she could have big flurry slippers on.
Maybe the slipper that fell yours, I don't know.
You know, some sort of end table. You know, and then now I got a little scene.
Oh, that's
Right?
sick.
Do we need to draw a scene for that?
And then I could come in here. No, you don't.
Okay.
But could we?
The problem with that is then people start spending all this time on that, and the character sucks, and it's like, okay, you spent like
It's
4
like an
hours.
Illustration.
Yeah, you start dodging what you're supposed to be doing because you want to do something else, and that just always annoys me. I mean, if it's great, sure. Now there'd be a little vent back there. Usually we have a vent there. And then here, this could
Oh yeah.
little extension cord.
For the age.
And then maybe even here, I'd put a little. This is the problem: is you can just go on endlessly.
Outlet.
Yeah, this would go into this one of those little power jacks.
Maybe there's like a carpet.
Why? I don't know. Why does that matter? It doesn't, but I just like it. And then maybe this.
Isn't that like
They're
carpet?
sitting on a carpet. And now I've unified this whole thing into a unit.
Just like,
Oh,
hey.
yeah.
And I broke the silhouette with this.
Is this
You know.
also the way you start an illustration?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Super
I can
loose.
see.
It's just like when I was showing you that stuff from Mario, that real loose drawing. That's what this is. It's the same thing.
Okay.
And then once I do this, if I get everything sort of balanced, and then another thing I just realized, I would have her, actually the way I'd have her watching TV, big glasses.
Where like the screen reflects off the glasses.
I would have her, you know, here's her hand. I'd have her petting her dog and her dog in her lap, right? I might have this hand reaching over to grab some treats. But when she's watching TV, I would still, because now we've established this sort of impatient thing, I would have her doing this and looking at the TV like that. That way I'm doing the same thing where I'm pushing her forward again, right? Where she's kind of going, you know, looking at the TV and petting the dog, right? And you can see I can start to build. Now I'm gonna put her leg like that because she has these big, you know, shaped pants or whatever you want to call them. So now I'm going to give myself that little open tube right there at the bottom, right? Because now I can put her feet kind of doing that,
These things.
right? And then her behind here, and then this actually is going to get hidden by that you know, that little swirly couch thing.
Swirly couch.
So are you showing us an example of how to draw poses for the
Yeah, more or
project?
less. I mean, what I'm doing is once I start going down the rabbit hole in this stuff, I don't really like to stop. And then her neck could maybe be like that, because she is older.
So even if our
And then I want to make that earring even bigger, because it's just a nice little touch. Oh, my hand, see that?
Oh,
Like, I get this pinched nerve, and then it starts jacking my hand up, which is really frustrating. It's only in certain positions. See, like that, it's fine.
I think it's good the nerves
And there's a nerve that goes down around here and down to your pinky, and that's the one that's screwed up.
I think it's called a radial nerve.
I think it is, actually.
is that the cost
really
to pay
screws
to
up my-
draw that good?
Hmm?
Is that the cost you have to pay to draw well? Or
I don't know what caused it, really. And then I'd put her dog right here, and she'd be petting him.
so even when we draw small like that, we can still scan it and then zoom it out.
Mm-hmm. And then I might, if I got a bunch of stuff going on here that I really liked, I could, I could scan it and blow it up and start working over that one.
Digitally or like-
No, we're not doing anything digital. Digital's for
okay.
losers.
Okay. So we zoom it out.
Damn.
So we blow it up and then print it out and then keep working on top of it, right? Or
Mm-hmm. Yeah, however
okay.
you want to. Yeah. The problem, obviously there's nothing wrong with digital, but the problem with it is
You get C7, right?
people start doing tricks and
Photo bashing.
photo bashing, and then I constantly am getting people. I don't know what this obsession is or why this is happening, but there's all these people and they're always dicking around with the polygon lasso tool,
The what?
the polygon lasso tool in Photoshop, and
The
then
one like.
I go, okay,
Like the selection.
and I
tool.
go, this is a painting, right? And they go, yeah, and I go, how'd you do it? Oh, I took the polygon lasso tool. It's like, it's not a painting. That's tricks. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm talking about painting. Do you take a brush and you just paint it?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that those things aren't useful. They can be. But it's just like, you gotta know how to paint.
And some people think that they have the color picker tool so that
They what?
they have the color picker tool so that they can just pick the paint and then they can make a good picture by just picking
You're not
the paint
making a
from
good picture,
photo.
actually. You're not making
Yeah.
good stuff doing that. Okay, but see how I could start to refine? Does that make sense? So now we've taken the forward thrust idea here. okay? And like I said, the impatient idea, you know, if I had her tapping her foot and looking at her watch, like that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? So that would make sense. And then what I'd also do, sorry,
Because it's more bright in front.
I would put all this into shadow, except where she's getting hit by the TV light. And then I'd put a cast shadow here from her.
Oh, nice.
If that's the case, though, wouldn't the TV be like more brighter since the room's
Wouldn't the TV what?
be brighter because the room's dark and therefore like there'd be more light?
No, because this is behind.
No, I meant like in front of the TV.
Yeah, you get light on her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like I'm saying that like
You mean
look how
you mean the
light-
air in front of the screen?
not air. Like the light from the TV is not just like pointing at her like straight on. It's gonna like the light's gonna project outwards.
No, because I want it focused here. I'm using reality, but I'm tricking reality and I'm designing reality. Does that make sense?
I guess.
It doesn't make sense?
That's what I guess.
No, but that doesn't make sense?
I don't know. I just thinking like when I see a TV, like light from a TV, I see like the light coming like more spreading rather than just like.
Right. You're not thinking like a designer. You're thinking like, you're not taking from reality what you need and then focusing it. You're sort of just going, oh, reality does this. And then it kind of gets hard to do anything when you think like that. So what I'd probably do maybe is come in here and really get the emphasis on her. I might light up this a little bit. Maybe light up a little down here and on here, maybe. But I want the emphasis on her. Does that make sense? I could probably hit a little here, a little here. And just get these forward-facing planes a little bit, but it's gonna be the hottest light's gonna be there. And then I can really start to dial in that little scene, right? Everything would have to get a little darker. To really push the light, everything would have to get darker. Might even put a little here.
To think that you can achieve so many effects with just the pencil.
I know, right?
I only use it for lines and that's it.
No, it's a painting tool.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. It's a painting tool. But you can see I can start to refine a little bit. Even this is as loose as it is, right? But I like to start that way because I want to start super loose. This I might light up a little just to silhouette her hair a little bit. So what am I doing? I'm being very selective with how I'm treating the light. Right? Because I can say that's hitting here, and as long as, you know, as long as I don't go outside the realm of, you know, complete, you know, craziness, then, and then her feet are here, and then, you know, that's another pose. And then I have to come back in here and reestablish all this. I might give her one of those little popcorn box things that does this. And then they usually have these little stripes. You know what I mean? And then I would totally stack all this popcorn.
Popcorn sounds so good.
Does it work fluid?
And I'd put a
Oh,
couple
popcorn is
sitting
vegan
next to it
food,
where it's
right?
fallen out. Maybe a couple
Is
on the
it?
floor.
Sometimes it's vegan.
Oh, okay.
Popcorn at Disneyland.
Make sense?
Oh,
Okay.
without butter. Alright.
All right, who else?
They can be vegan butter too.
Should we hide?
You know, students are fine.
What if you had a student who wanted to be an influencer?
Oh, I had them.
Probably art-wise, right?
They're never. Most of them are delusional, to be honest with you. Like they've got these inflated ideas about what they're doing, and it's like I had one guy, and that's what he told me. He goes, "Well, I'm kind of an influencer."
I'm kind of an influencer.
And I go, "Okay, cool.
Are
Let
they
me see
actually,
your
like,
let me-"
successful or are they
No,
just
they're
talking?
not. And
I'm kind of an influencer. I'm gonna start saying
He
that's
had
my
like
job.
1,300 followers. I go, dude, you're not even close. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. And it was just endless pictures of himself. Because I guess he thought he was real fashiony or something.
More like he's trying to do like you think.
I don't know what he was doing. I don't care.
We were no longer supposed to use passport ID
Okay.
on phone. That passed.
Now, also, you guys, with things like eyebrows, you know, they can, in this kind of context, they can break reality,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Like everything can break reality. Another thing, if I'm doing overlays like this, you know, I'll play around with where the proportions are, right? Now, like here, and I usually pull the chin in a little closer. Now, it might not work, and it might work. You know, I don't know. I feel like her eyes need to be.
That looks like a minion to me.
This right here, yeah. I
Right.
agree with that. I'd make a little more statement on that, maybe. I got her eyes sticking too sad. I'd have to fix that. But now, were these like baubles or something? What was that?
She has like beads, like really big beads. So I exaggerated them to be like huge.
That's not bad.
I
Idea.
thought that was her hair.
Oh, she had braids and then beads at the
Yeah,
bottom.
she had like beads in the bottom, and they were like really round. So I pushed it.
I'd get the braids in there.
Yeah.
You know, these could get
Kind of
pushed.
Buddhist monks have like
The main thing
giant
here,
balls around it.
I still don't, it still feels a little too generic to me. So I might try playing around with different shaped glasses,
Okay.
different types of eyes. You know, I don't know what kind of eyes I want. I don't want her eyes to look sad. I made them look a little bit sad. I don't think she needs to look sad. Maybe just a smudge of a nose, maybe. You know, can this hat become a little more outrageous? And I don't know. You know. People like this, to me, if you're talking about somebody who's whatever you want to call that, trying to be a whatever, they're all about trying to get attention. Ground
Oh,
zero.
yeah.
That's ground zero for narcissism.
It is it,
The
oh,
fact
where
that
people
you
take
know it
pictures?
more than
Oh my
me.
God.
I have never heard
I've
of
never
that.
Been there too.
Oh, it's very popular.
What is it?
People, yeah,
This
are
is
always
open to, like,
posting pictures
lampposts.
from there. There, and what's that, like, pink wall?
Oh,
I know
God,
the
in
pink-
Melrose.
Yeah, the pink
Oh, is that
wall
where it is?
photos, Yeah.
Melrose.
So is that a place for narcissists?
Yeah. A lot of tourists.
Yeah, there's always people taking pictures
It's
there.
just, I was just over there.
Outfit
Now, one thing I might do
everywhere.
here is I might make a more dramatic, you know, maybe she's got flared pants or
Yeah.
something.
Oh.
You know, what kind of shoes does she have? Who knows? You know, she might have really.
Are you trying to make this character to be very long?
Mhm.
Like,
And probably, again, subconsciously, I'm thinking fashion illustration. If you're talking to me about fashion and all that kind of stuff, those things are floating around in my head probably. I might give her some really, you know, some big shoes. So there's a little bit of a 70s theme here now, because they had these in the 70s and obviously these, right? And then what's this gonna be like? And I don't know. And then I'd also want her to have, like, I like this little idea, a little kind of trail there. I'd also probably have her with some kind of big,
alligator.
this should actually come out here more, this leg. You know, and then I'd have to place her head where I want. But right now I'm trying to do is get, because right now she feels a little,
Yeah.
and I feel like, and by the way, that's up to you how that all works. But, you know, and then things like this, you know, how are you gonna handle the shoe? You know, and I'm probably gonna make him, you know, I'd probably come up with some way to make him a little more outrageous. I'd probably kind of push everything to be a little more outrageous.
Okay.
Do you have any advice on how to stop making our character look like side character and start looking more like main character?
Ah.
Because
Mhm.
that's what I feel like my character is.
Nah, I didn't
a
feel like
side
that.
character.
I didn't feel like that.
Just like how I am not the main character of my life. I feel like I'm just a side character.
But everyone loves Alfred.
After
Even Alfred is more important than I am.
Oh my god.
I'll be the victim to be killed off by Joker or something like that. And the people will forget that character.
So now maybe I can start looking at where that head should sit, because where it is here, it's not sitting right, obviously, right? But I like the idea. Yeah, like that's kind of cool. A little forward like that.
Kind of embrace the straightness of the.
Now this, I think I'm gonna put her hand in her pocket. And I'd have something here, I don't know what, maybe she's holding a Starbucks or something. It'd be something other than that, I don't know what it would be. Then here, I can roll that
Pumpkin spice
around.
latte.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you
I heard a bunch of that over there, by the way, all the people with the like, I'll take a half cap. Okay, so see I put a little figure 8 there? See it?
Yeah.
Because it's just a more interesting shape, and it wraps around, right?
So is that a? Oh, never mind. So we are.
You know, and then I'd have to figure out the eyes, you know, whatever those are. And the nose. I'd have to figure out the whole face. But I do like the bigger hat. Now, that's just me. You might not, and that's fine. You know, maybe there's something.
So we are not allowed to make a character like you did to ours, right? Like,
What do you mean?
like take your idea and then turn
No.
it in. Okay.
Look, it's not like I invented cowboys or anything, you know what I mean?
Yours
But,
is
yeah.
just an example.
Yeah, all I'm
Okay.
doing is just trying to give you an example of pushing and how do I think, right? And everybody thinks a little differently. I'm not saying think like me. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, do you see how I'm go down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Just like this, right? Like this feels, and I could be wrong.
So we need to try on ourselves.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So I'm just looking at it to see how it's balanced both ways, right? Well, the only thing that's left on this one is this. Okay, and then I can add a couple of folds in there. I could put a big pocket right here. And I would probably, in her pocket,
Have a dog.
I'd have a little tiny dog.
Chihuahua.
Yeah, like a little fashion doll. You know those kind of dogs that these people carry? Like they have to have their dog with them everywhere. It's usually in a little carrier or whatever, but I just put it in the pocket.
Would you say dog or doll?
I think
Dog.
you can just always find a place for a dog.
Hmm?
You can just always find a
I love
place for a
dogs.
So extra credit if we put a dog in, right?
But you get the point, right? I mean, it does make sense.
Yes.
You know, so I just have them peeking out of that little pocket. So does that make sense?
Just leave it alone.
More pressure.
Who else?
I
Anybody?
volunteer. I personally think I'm going still too realistic.
Yeah, way too realistic.
Wait, what?
So when I get into these, I kind of go, it's just sort of a drawing of a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is there a way I can like push it to?
Just like what I was just talking about, all these. Like start thinking of your shape language, right?
Right.
And then really loosen up these poses. Like, what is this pose? What's he doing?
Well, he's supposed to be holding a suitcase, but I never got around to drawing a suitcase.
Yeah, so I might have him hail in a taxi and that suitcase is back here and he's running or something, you know? You know, I'm not gonna have him just holding a suitcase. Does that make sense? I'm gonna find some way to push that. And I'm gonna find some way to push everything. So, who was this guy?
A guy who just he's this basic office worker, you know, just not exciting job.
He's got to have a story. If you don't have a story, you have nothing to hang your design on. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like every time I'm doing something, I go, and look, that's the same thing with what we've been talking about all this. If you notice, everything that I'm doing here, I have to have some narrative in my head to design to. Otherwise, I don't have anything. And then that's where we get into this thing that I probably already said in here, where I'm talking to students in character design because they don't think. Does that make sense? And they're not being encouraged to go down the rabbit hole like we're trying to do here, right? So they show me stuff from the class, and the one I always use as an example, somebody showed me a lumberjack. Hey, look at this character design. Okay, cool. Let's see it. And it's a lumberjack, right? I go, okay, who is it? Who's a lumberjack? All right, but who is it? Who is a lumberjack? And I'm like, okay. It's a crappy drawing of a lumberjack, I guess. Okay, cool. But you didn't think about who the personality is, like who he is, what's his relationship to his job. All they did is draw the bounty paper towel guy, you know? Guy in a plaid shirt, jeans, holding an axe, and a beanie hat, right?
So when you ask what is his story, are you asking about the story of the character or the story of the guy we were observing and then
All of it, because if I'm
Okay.
drawing somebody from life, especially if there's something that sort of grabs my imagination,
Yeah.
and a lot of people for some reason at farmers market do.
Okay.
Like I look at him, I go, who is that guy or woman or whatever? Yeah, and sometimes I'll go, and my brain will just start filling in the gaps. Again, it's pattern recognition.
Yeah.
It's the same reason you see dragons and clouds, right? Because your brain goes, I have to make sense of that. So if I see somebody and I don't know their story, my brain's going to fill it in.
Oh, okay.
And I just let my brain do that, right? So it might be, but this guy's a writer. But this guy.
Oh.
And then my brain just goes down this rabbit hole of like who they are, and it might shift. Or I might overhear him say something and then go, and it shifts what I'm thinking about them, but then that shifts the way I'm drawing them.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
So part.
And all they are for me is a bunch of shapes to play with.
Okay.
That's all they are, right?
So part reality and part imagination.
Reality,
Yeah.
okay, there's two things. When I go to someplace like that, I have a Lego box full of pieces in front of me now.
Yeah.
So now I can mix and match and play and push and shape and push all these shapes and ideas. But I also got to do that, let my brain, for me, I got to have my brain go down some rabbit hole kind of. It's better if I have some rabbit hole framework to design around, if I have that. Does that make
Okay.
sense? Because then it gives my brain some sort of purpose in design. Just like that woman we were just talking about, this one. It all stemmed from, she's impatient. And she does this weekly excursion to the grocery store and she wants to get it over with, and maybe she bumps into people and you know, that kind of thing, right? And then the way she watches TV is also forward motion. So everything with her now so far is forward motion. Doesn't mean that every single thing will have to be, but it says something about her attitude. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you when like if you go into character design or something like that, if you haven't, you need to go deeper. Does that make sense? You need to know who the personality of the character is and all that sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Why are you tripping out on that?
Just because it's easy.
All right, does that make sense?
It's like,
Like I get a bunch of, and by the way, here's another thing that I see all the time with character design and that OC thing, which I guess stands for original character, which they never are, by the way. But no, it's OC. And then here's my OC. It's like that's just a bad drawing of a person. It's not a character. Like how the hell is this a character? Does that make sense? You know, and then you know something like that. I mean, I could come in here and you know. So, and then, by the way, whenever I get on these, when I'm doing this, there's certain things that are just going to stick in my brain for a while. So, like it might be a glasses shape or something like that. But you know, I might take the geometry of that, you know, and maybe, you know, get a very sort of like what Steven Silver does, where it's very geometric. Like I might go down that rabbit hole. Because I might go, oh, he's very structured, very uptight, very square-shouldered, very structured suit, very tailored, very, you know, and I'll take that and sort of pull that geometry out of it. Okay? And, it, you know, and Steven Silver's a great guy to look at for that. His stuff is super simple, but really balanced. His stuff is really balanced.
I feel like the key to stylization is to simplify our shape. Like instead of like making all the bumps and curves.
Yes.
All the way.
Yeah, and
just
but be
make it
selective
like
there.
long, yeah.
Like if I'm doing like this kind of, if this was a guy in a suit, because suits are structured, right? and the arm is out here. Like, let's say his arm's going out this way, right? One thing that's really important to me if I'm doing a business suit is that, notice I put the arm lower,
Yeah.
because there's that stair step from the structured jacket,
Yeah.
okay? So if this arm is moving out this way or up, there's gonna be a little stair step right there and a little stair step right there. And that's really important to me because it says structured jacket. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, and I might put a little thing there. Now, you don't always have to put these things here if you're doing something even more simplified.
Yeah.
But I like to have little structural elements,
Right.
you know? You know, I might break this edge with the pocket,
Captain, I think it could help with your like stylized problem.
you know, so, you know, and then, yeah, I can play with the geometry of it. You know, I could put those structured cheekbones in here. I could put a very simplified sort of geometric nose in here, you know, and I could start going down the rabbit hole where my whole design language is sort of geometric and overly structured. Or I shouldn't say overly structured, just structured. I also always usually will take advantage of that to put that little flip in there. So it gives it a little bit of dimension. Does that make sense? In the pockets, you know, blah, 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 okay. But it could be some direction that I go in. Then, you know, what's the hair? Kind of like we were talking about with Eric, right? You know, maybe I just simplify the hair into a very geometric idea, okay? Does that make sense? You could give him a real squared jaw. You know, who is he? Again, who is he? I don't want this to be generic business guy. Who is he? You know, who does he work for? I don't know, right?
So that's how we try to move away from realistic and then being simple shape like that, right?
Yeah, it's just like when a lot of times, like, you know, like those douchebaggy meathead guys, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The guys who drive the big lifted trucks and all that stuff, right?
The hillbilly.
Yeah.
I'm applying.
I might simplify them into that really heavy brow, because to me the heavy brow starts to look a little cavemanish, which makes sense to me because they're not intelligent. And then I can do, and then they all have, oh, no, that's too big.
Oh, he looks like the dad of the guy in the movie. Like he creates the satellite that creates food from the sky. Oh yeah, the meatball.
Oh yeah.
thing.
And every time he opens his eyes, it's like intimidation.
Yeah, that guy.
Never seen that movie.
It was okay.
Yeah.
They all look like that, okay?
That one.
But what did I just start with? I started with this. Because to me, they don't feel like they have a neck, right? I'm gonna pull this brow line, let's sink that under there. I'm gonna put, also, what's important, I don't know why they all have, whatever you call these, goatees. You know, I'm gonna get that little bump back there. I'm gonna put something on this hat that speaks to that culture, like Metal Militia,
Or like
or
Make America
you know, they always wear
Great
those.
Again.
They always wear those. What'd you say?
Make America great again. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that.
I immediately think of that thing when I see this kind of.
Yeah, that's totally. You're right. Yeah. Yes, I'd make this hat red, and then you know they wear those really douchey. What's weird about them is they wear these like overly designed T-shirts, like Metal Militia, or like
Empire
or
Builders.
old bands from like my era.
Empire Builders.
And the reason that I don't draw these guys anymore because I just find them really uninteresting, but and I'd have a little bit of a furrowed brow because these guys, to me, the whole thrust of their personality is aggressive. They're just super aggressive people, right?
So shouldn't we
Like
do-
if I notice somebody's tailgating me, it's always a douchebag in a lifted truck.
So shouldn't we use more like triangular shape to create like the aggressiveness or? Okay.
Like here, I'm just going for the whole meat-headed idea,
Oh. Okay.
right? The heavy brow, which to me speaks back to sort of cavemanish. You know, the bump here, which just speaks to thick.
Yeah.
They always have this.
C's?
The what?
Stick with 2 C's? Or,
Yeah, I could give them a little more.
yeah,
What are you thinking?
pretend I didn't say that. It's cool.
No, that's fine.
Anyway,
Every opinion is valid.
sure.
Okay, thank
Okay, does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, who else? Who else having problems? Anybody?
I'm
Everybody all
having
right?
problems, but I don't really have much to show.
Same.
Oh, that's a problem.
Like I have like I filled up more than 4 pages. I just don't think I have. Huh? Oh, the grades?
Maybe just show him your favorite sketch, and then he will like put it from there.
3-dimensional, and so I sculpted his head, and it was like, okay, stop.
Show
Oh,
him.
there it is.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like, it just gets whack, like, weird. Oh, yeah.
Show him the sculpture.
That looks like a grown-up butthead or
Beavis.
Beavis.
That's how the guy looked like, though.
Like the fourth person.
Weird.
It kind of looks like Ryan Gosling. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's funny.
Fish market.
Wait,
I
who
don't
is
see
that?
it. That's fine.
Who is Ryan something?
That's a
Ryan
I
Gosling.
like her
Who is
gloves.
that?
He's an
And
actor.
that's this lady from the DMV.
He's, yeah.
DMV is a good
He
spot.
play those kind of roles, like
Blade Runner.
oh, okay.
Yeah, Blade Runner.
What about Blade Runner?
Oh, Drive.
Oh, that looks like an anime face.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. Trying to get her in trouble.
No, no. I mean the face shape that Mike makes. It looks
Oh.
like the anime face shape.
What face I make Sam? Oh, you mean this shape?
Yeah, the very sharp chin
Diamond-ish.
that you can stab people.
Actually, I don't like the chin that sharp.
Oh, okay.
But when I put something
Oh,
down,
now
I'll
he's
I'll do stuff
backfired.
later.
He's rethinking.
You just have to say, it looks like it.
Oh, it looks like Vietnam mode.
Oh, yeah.
No, actually, when I'm drawing this kind of stuff, I don't really edit myself yet. I edit later. Now here's another one, sort of that same body style as what we did with that other one. Now remember, this is that, right?
Like a chess piece.
Pretty good. That first class tickets.
Now also here,
Yep.
I'd probably give her a little more. Let's see if it works. And maybe this one's out a little more. So that's just a little more dynamic, right? A little more posy, right? Because we want to, you know, and then again, what is this hand doing? Because I want this hand to be doing something. So maybe she's like, hey.
Hey.
And then that means that maybe she's,
I gave her a wrinkly mouth, because she has a wrinkly mouth.
So when you are doing this thing, we should notice how you think more than notice how you draw.
I think it's both.
Okay.
Well, I mean, because you're trying to tie your thinking into your drawing. So to me, what I always say is your arm and your hand is a cable plugged into your imagination, right? So you're trying to get this to flow and spill out onto here in real time. Now that takes two things. You got to get fluent with drawing.
Okay.
Fluent with, it takes a couple things. You got to get fluent with design. You got to get fluent with starting to think about narrative.
Okay.
And you got to, you know, you're just thinking about all these different things at the same time,
Okay.
right? But I don't really think while I'm doing it anymore. Like, I don't really think about it. And her, I'm just gonna give her a little smudge. And I have no idea what I'd do with the eyes here, so I'm just gonna put some pupils for now. And she looks a little bossy, which I like. Now I'm gonna give her one of these, I don't know why, but I'm gonna give her one of these little collars. And then this should probably come down that way a little bit. Now, I could also give her a little pleated skirt. Why? I don't know. And then maybe she, again, maybe, I always like to get this little, and you don't have to. Like maybe she's got a big belt thing here. And then this is gonna pinch a little bit. And then maybe she's wearing boots, I don't know why. And I'm gonna keep these really simple, these, at least the starting point of these I'm gonna keep really simple. And then I'm gonna give her some big bauble bracelet or something. And then maybe this drops down. Maybe I can chop that there.
I like the short bob hairstyle.
The what?
The short bob haircut. It's cool.
You should get that hairstyle.
Oh yeah.
It would look beautiful on you.
Hmm?
I would look like Egypt.
Everybody's angry in my world here
That is.
today.
All your
And then I would soften this geometry a little bit. It's a little too hard edged. You know, she could even have the puffy sleeve thing. And then maybe she's just holding. She's got a purse. Maybe she's got pearls.
He looks like a nerd.
A little bit.
Like how I used to be.
How you used to be? Sorry.
Yo, what do you mean used to be?
Oh, I am still.
So at least a starting point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And look how little I indicated with the hand, but it's enough for now. Right? Okay. So now we got those three.
Oh, her hair looks like the guy Haku from Spirited Away.
No.
She looks like Edna from Incredibles.
Yeah.
A little of that. You know who Edna's based on, right?
Who?
No.
Edith
the
Head.
designer or something.
Edith Head.
Who's that?
She was this really famous costume designer for movies. She was awesome.
And she's a very peculiar character. Like when she walks in.
Well, she had that. She was sort of the
everyone-
different though. She was sort of elongated. They made Edna small, but that really severe hairstyle. She had these very. She was very severe looking, in a cool look, in a cool way. And she was. She was always to me always looked like, man, she just like owns the room, which I always thought was cool. And she like won Oscars and stuff. She was just badass. Okay, see that now? See how we're starting to get somewhere? And look we're going one thing to geometric to meatheady a little more, a few anatomical punches. Attitude. I don't think there's anything on this one. You know, cowboy, elongated, thin, decorative, kind of costumey. You know, so we've kind of gone, and if you notice, I'm not putting, I mean, look, we all have a sort of stylistic bent because we all work a certain way and all that. But I'm not designing to, oh, this is what I do. I'm going, I'm jumping off on different things and attitudes, and then I'm designing based around what makes sense for this character. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of interested in her a little bit because she looks bossy, but also kind of nerdy. And there's a couple of sort of weird juxtapositions in here, in my brain anyway, you know what I mean? Where it's like, these feel, I don't know, these boots feel sort of weird, and then, but she's also wearing pearls, and I don't know, there's just like a lot of things in there I kind of like that are sort of dichotomies or whatever you want to call it, right? So that one to me is kind of interesting. You
So
know?
only when we are satisfied with our like idea, then we would move on to the expression and poses, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You got to get this part done. Like this could be, you know, if I refined it,
Yeah.
this could be my just big pose,
Yeah.
and then I could do my 2 or 3.
Okay.
You know, and then I would go, okay, she looks a little bossy here. Is that who she is, or am I misreading her, or what? The thing I want this all stuff to do is I want them to tell me who they are. Does that make sense? And if I just let my brain, it's like I want you guys to unlock that thing where you turn on the spigot. Because once you learn how to do that, you turn on that spigot and let your brain go, it becomes natural. It's like riding a bike. Like get on a bike. When you learned how to ride a bike, it was very difficult, right? Now you almost can't fall off a bike. You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
Oh, I can't.
I can, yeah.
Now I
Very
think I could,
easily.
but for a long time I was fairly
I could try
agile.
to turn a corner.
I thought that.
Okay, anybody else with these?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That one's probably,
Too straight.
yeah.
All these are too straight.
I thought that
Well,
I
I'm
would
gay,
feel
so
better.
sorry.
No, has nothing to do with that. These are all just too straightforward,
Yeah, I don't know how to not.
like this.
Okay.
Is this making sense though?
Yeah, it makes sense when you do it. When I try to do it,
Yeah.
Look, it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy.
No.
Okay, but you really want to focus on shape, I'd say, right? And then, it's a little trick. Here's the kind of thing I'm trying to get you guys to do, is I'm trying to get you guys to go, be able. So, okay, we did all this observational drawing and everything. So you want to have at your disposal your understanding sort of form, and your understanding a little bit about, and when I say anatomy, I don't mean like studying anatomy. I don't mean it in that way, but I mean like, when I'm drawing something even like this, there's little things in here that are structuring that because I know enough about anatomy, right? Even though it's not anatomical. Or even this little zygomatic arch idea right here, right? Or this brow line and then that bottom of the orbital right there, right? Like those are, it's totally stylized, but that gives it a little bit of form and structure, right? And that's always been my favorite thing, where there's a little bit of structure in that drawing, even if it's really cartoony or whatever. I just like that, right? And I'd argue if you look at almost anything that works from a structure perspective in like animated show or something like that, that's why. Because there's enough landmarks in there to sort of hold it together. Now it could be purely design also, right? But those are just nice little holding points. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Like in that old Batman TV show, they had, no, the one from the, I don't know when it was, the
Brave
90s.
and the
90s,
Bold.
yeah.
Oh.
They kind of did this kind of thing with him, where his head was sort of like that. And then he had this chest thing here, and however that came out.
Like a ball.
The calf muscle a little bit.
Like the upper body was massive.
And this was really, really triangular. So if you broke this down geometrically, it's more like that. This kind of thing. Right? But it's still based on sort of, a little bit based on anatomy that's been really stylized, like really, really pushed, right? But gave you that sense of anatomy, and also was still animatable because this was 2D, right? So 2D has to be animatable, right? You can't make it overly complicated. That's why all those things look, if you look at animators' drawings from before 3D, they all look sort of the same because they were all trained the same way, and they have to make things animatable, right? Which is why now you can have like that character in Monsters, Inc. or whatever that had 8 legs or whatever. That would have been really hard to do.
Can we design
2D.
monsters for this point?
No. And the only reason being is if I do that, if I don't put parameters on this, all I'm going to get is like, I like drawing this. And it's like, okay, well, you draw that really crappy because you've never actually pushed yourself to learn drawing, design. Because what we're really doing here, we're talking about taking the sketching skill and draftsmanship and putting it in service to design, right? That's what we're doing. Okay, because you've got to put that draftsmanship into service to design at some point, right? Otherwise, you're just filling up sketchbooks full of drawings of people with no purpose, really. The purpose is you want to get really good at that, right?
Yeah.
But then you want to take that and be able to do something with it, okay? Like we all see people probably who take a life drawing and then they just have a sketchbook that 3 years later, and they're just trying to draw all this anatomical shit, and it's like, well, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to do something with this, or are you just going to keep making these drawings? And also, like on something like even this, you know, can I push this idea a little more? Right? So can I take, and I don't, if I'm gonna try something like I like, let's just take this.
You mean having a line of action?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the line of action, there already is one. It's that, basically, right? But can I push this further? Or maybe this comes out more. Where I'm starting to push the action a little more. I don't really feel like it needs it, but I could. Actually, it does need it. It could go a little, this needs to bend out a little more. This needs to do, and this needs to be a little more dramatic. Does that make sense? Cammy?
Yes.
All right, any other ones?
Just don't want to offend.
All right, so we're good?
mention.
Everybody knows what they're doing? All right.
Oh, wait, but you were gonna